Children of the night, what music they make.
They're all gonna laugh at you!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What's up?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash you a bit.
And Final Guys is live once again. Tuesday night, no issues. Things just worked for the most part. We're here. And we're ready to do Stranger Things Season 3. I'm Jason Brant, joined as always by Hunter Shea.
I am a Stranger Thing.
And Jack Campisi.
These go to 11.
I gotta tell you, I freaking barely got this finished. Like 20 minutes ago, I was wrapping up the end of it.
Oh, Jesus.
It took everything.
Wow.
I had to just stack episodes. It was getting ridiculous. So,
Well, luckily it was only 8 episodes.
yeah, it's fresh on my mind. So I'm ready to get into it. But before we do, let's do a little drinking rules. What do you think there, Hunter? Assuming you
Oh,
have them.
sure. Why not? Yeah, I'll get them. So every week, Sheridan Bradford, who I believe he lives in witness protection down in Costa Rica, he thinks of words where when we say them, you drink. And not water, not milk. Drink something alcoholic. So here, when Jack says walking 11, he's already done that, or announced, take a drink. If I say, oh, Jesus, kid, dating, and references, does he intentionally do this, like string these three together that sound like an awful sentence from me?
I'm guessing so.
Yes.
Jason, yeah. If you say Radio, Rambo, and Billy, y'all got to drink. And if any of us says Russian, Mall, and Hopper, imbibe.
Sounds good. I guess we should mention, if it sounds a little echoey, looks a little serial killery, it's because you're now in your kitchen this week?
Wait, last week was serial killer in the basement. Now I'm in the kitchen, but I think it looks like the Porky's shower scene. Look, I'll sith it. I'm going to hang over the mic. Is this cutting down on echo?
It really does. You look
You look
beautiful, too.
You look like you're getting ready to fight Drago.
I must break you. I've
With
never
the
looked
dish
better.
towel.
This is what I do for the podcast. This is why we insist it should just be audio only.
Put him in a bathroom.
All right, let's just get into the freaking horror news.
Please.
All right. This first piece of news I actually think is good news. So, you know, the Terminator movie's coming out, Dark Fate. It's got Sarah Connor, and I think they're Halloweening this where they're going to just go back to T2. And Arnold's in it. Not animated Arnold, but actual Arnold. Well, the best news since I've heard that this movie was being made has happened. Edward Furlong is returning as John Connor.
Holy shit.
Oh, God. I have watched an Edward Furlong movie I'm going to talk about shortly, so bring it on.
Is he still bloated? Or
I
is he
think he's
back
still a
down to
drug addict,
party?
and I'm pretty sure he's still beating the shit out of his girlfriends.
Oh, God almighty.
I hope he's a hot mess. I just can't wait. I can't wait to see what that. He's probably in it for like 5 seconds. Like they go visit him at rehab or something.
The movie I watched is 15 years ago, and he was shuffling. He already had that drug addict shuffle 15 years ago when he was, 27 or whatever. So I can only imagine now he's looking beautiful.
I think the last thing I saw him in was like Night of the Demons remake.
Night of the Demons. Yeah, that's right.
I have not seen that remake.
Did you see the coming attraction for this Terminator movie? Jason, probably not you.
I did. Doesn't look so nice.
Linda Hamilton is only 62.
Really?
Just take
thought
that
she was
any way
older.
you want.
The effects looked not good. No, it looked hokey.
I don't know.
Not excited. It's almost like I've been burned 3 or 4 movies in a row in this series.
It might be.
And I'm getting
I had enough of Terminator movies a long time ago, but bringing Edward Furlong back, I just wanted to see what the hell this is all about now. So I doubt I'll see this in the theater, but I can't wait to at least get my first glimpse of him.
If it's at a drive-in for a double feature.
A double feature with Pet Cemetery 2.
Oh, God. Not again.
God.
Maybe Axl Rose can do You Could Be Mine live in this one.
That'd be the best part of it.
All right. You know how we're constantly talking about how old classic movies are being redone, rebooted, remade?
We review them.
Well, I don't know when this is coming out. I don't know who's in it, but they have started filming a reboot for Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Oh, messing with perfection.
I haven't seen that in so long. I barely remember it. I mean,
Yeah,
how old is that movie?
I haven't seen that movie since the 80s, and I finally remember the night we watched it and laughed our asses off. But I don't know what you can do with CG tomatoes now. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, that's tough. No.
What do you think the Rotten Tomatoes score will be on Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
If it's high, the fix was in.
Can was it Dan Quayle? Could he spell the name of this movie?
No. It's from 1978, the original.
It's on Prime.
78?
I may have to revisit. It has a whopping 4.6 on IMDb. I remember almost nothing of this.
4.6 is about 2 points better than most of the stuff you watch.
That's true.
Isn't John Aston in that movie?
I've already closed the IMDb.
I don't remember anybody famous. All I really remember was like one scene in a classroom where they said just the mere mention of the word tomatoes causes panic. And the guy just goes, tomatoes. And it was, ah.
Wasn't the song Puberty Love what kills them?
You remember?
I'm not even kidding.
I couldn't tell you. I just vaguely remember that it was a musical. So
I bet you Samuel L. Jackson ends up in this movie.
It's motherfucking tomatoes.
I want these motherfucking tomatoes off this motherfucking plane.
Yes, Puberty Love is the song from the movie. I can't believe I remember that.
Wow. Who? I don't even want to know anything more about it.
I don't have any.
You stop yourself. Nope. Don't really want to know.
That's all we really need to know for now. Let's move on to Halloween news because we keep talking about how we were hoping that there wasn't going to be a sequel to the Halloween sequel, and then we found out there was going to be two made back to back. Well, now we know they're going to come out in 2020 and 2021, and they have titles: Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends.
Oh, that's a lie.
Ooh.
I'll bet that's a lie.
Then Halloween gets rebooted.
Yeah, that was all they could contractually get Jamie Lee Curtis for. And then if they want her after that, the money's going to have to get big.
I predict they will. That'll be the end of the Jamie Lee Curtis, and then they'll take like 2 years off, and then suddenly there'll be a reboot of it with some young.
Maybe they'll make Jamie Lee Curtis his sister.
Nope, I know exactly what they're going to
do.
This show's going to end, and a year later there'll be a Halloween series on like Stars or something like that.
That's where Danielle Harris will come back.
There you go.
So are these coming out 1 year after the next?
2020 and 2021.
Okay.
So not within the same month. They couldn't pull the trigger.
Unless it's December and January.
Oh.
That's
Halloween and New Year's Eve. Halloween, Christmas and New Year's Eve.
Yeah, release Halloween at Christmas Eve. That'd be great.
I'd go see it. Anything to get out of the house on Christmas. I'm happy. I saw Misery on Christmas.
Really?
Yeah, we all went to the theater. Like, we were in college. We're like, we're not going to hang out with our goddamn families. So we all met and saw Misery.
It's nothing like watching a good hobbling to celebrate Christmas.
Exactly.
We watched Trainwreck with Amy Schumer on Christmas Day.
Oh, it's just terrible.
My father came down right at the beginning and she was talking about something really raunchy. And his grandchildren are sitting there and he just kind of goes, okay, I'm going back upstairs.
Campisi out?
Yeah, drops the mic. The last piece of news feeds into our main topic tonight. Stranger Things Season 4 will start shooting this October. So I don't know what the gap is going to be between the seasons, but they are going to start filming it before these kids become 30-year-olds.
Older and douchier.
Well, I mean, if they keep aging the show at the same rate the kids are aging, they're going to be late teenagers in the early 90s when everything got super emo and grunge. And they can just be complete douchebags.
Or they can look like total assholes on their huffies with their walkie-talkies.
And start
getting the
pulling their
crap.
pants down under their ass. I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be beautiful.
Kids just randomly beating the shit out of them.
So starting in October, that bodes well for not having such a long break.
Yeah, I hope so, because when I was watching this season, and we can get into this more when we get into it, but I forgot a lot of what happened in the season 2.
So did I.
So the faster they get it here, the better.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the characters and thinking, oh shit, that's right, they're brothers. I completely forgot. Like, it's just been too long. I should have looked up recaps or something.
Yeah. So that's all I got for news.
All right, let's jump into some horror reviews.
We have such sights to show you.
All right, I think it's important before we get into anything else that we hear what Hunter thinks about Midsummer, since he floated into the ether last week and couldn't tell us.
Yeah, before I die of heat stroke under this tea towel. So, I really liked Midsummer. When I walked out of the theater, I was like, okay, that was a totally different kind of movie experience. A little bit of what I expected, but not entirely. I thought it looked amazing. Technically, it's fucking spellbinding. That performance, who was the lead girl? I can't remember her name.
Can't remember. Excellent, though.
She was
Pugh. Her last name is Pugh. Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh, something like that.
Oh my God. First, I had an actress with the worst wardrobe, with the worst fitting, most ill-fitting pants ever in movie history. But despite her handicap, she rose above it. I thought there were like little clues that they were giving throughout the movie, and some of them they carried through with, others they didn't. So even though it was I don't want to say slow, it was methodical. I loved it. I mean, and the more I'm separated from it, the more I like it. I just think it was I'm like, oh, it's a cult movie. So it's like nothing new. I think what made it new was just how he technically approached filming it. Really.
He has a very deliberate storytelling style.
I like how Hereditary, they do so much with darkness. There's those times where they turn off the lights and you can just see silhouettes, and a lot of crazy stuff happens in the dark. And this movie is the complete opposite. Most of it happens in the stark, harsh daylight.
Oh.
And both movies like share a kindred weirdness and creepiness, but they're like similar and totally different at the same time.
There was a part during that ceremony with the two older people where they just casually pans across, and there's a dude holding a giant wooden mallet, like he's going to the fair and he's going to ring the bell. And I looked at my daughter. I go, that mallet is going to introduce itself to a head before this scene is over.
I think I was going Harley Quinn on her.
Yeah.
And then I kept going, where's the bear? Like, don't just show me that bear for, oh, is that a bear? Yep.
The introduction of the bear was the best. Are we just going to ignore the bear? It's like, what? It's a bear. And then that's it.
Boom. No more bear.
So Hunter, last week I watched The Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage.
Oh God!
Because he dresses up like a bear in that movie and like runs around and punches people. And in everything I saw like that talked about this movie, they're all like, oh, and there are references to the original Wicker Man and the Nicolas Cage one where he dresses up like a bear.
This cool shit that they do with her boyfriend in the bear thing. I thought that was so cool.
The boyfriend does a pretty courageous performance.
Dude,
as well.
That's a lot of dongling.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're flip-flopping around in a run, man, you're just letting it all hang out.
By the way, the most uncomfortable sex scene in a long time. Especially if you're sitting there with your 19-year-old daughter right next to you.
Oh, geez.
You know, I'm sure in a lot of these sex scenes with these beautiful actresses, these guys are very excited, and I would be willing to bet in that one that was not an issue.
Not at all.
It's just like, dear God, can we just do this in an hour and get this over with?
You know, my favorite part of this movie is such a subtle thing, because through this whole movie, she's so depressed and scared and downtrodden, and like the frown lines in her face and they wait intentionally. They say, don't even smirk until the very last scene, and then you can smile. And I thought that was amazing.
I
Great
heard
movie.
somewhere, I don't remember, some podcast, I think, or maybe something on YouTube. They described him as a modern Stanley Kubrick, and we're early on that, but he does have that visual, slow, disturbing style.
I mentioned that last week.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe that was you. Maybe
No,
that was
because
you then.
when I saw Hereditary, I thought, wow, this is very Shining-esque. And just its approach, and I thought I had the same vibe through this movie. So maybe he is.
Yeah.
He holds those shots. He's not afraid of a wide shot. He creates a real mood and that helps because I said it last week. They probably could have knocked 15 minutes off this movie, but
Yeah, they could have.
But at the same time, like you said, Hunter, the further I get away from it, the more I like it. At the same time, like I'm in no hurry to see it again.
See, I thought that Jason would like it, and this would be your this year's mother.
I knew you would think I didn't like it.
There was potential, but it was much better than Mother.
So see, this wasn't as heavy-handed as Mother.
No,
it's not as pretentious either.
Yeah, nothing is.
The message in Mother, I'm like, all right, I see what they're trying to do here, people. Like,
No, but did you get it? She's Mother Earth. Did you get it? Did you
damn
get it?
Whereas this movie, you're right. Like they not so subtly show you what's going to happen. There are freaking drawings of what's going to happen on the wall.
There's a bear in flames.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but still, you're like, what the hell is going to happen? You know, what is going on?
Yep. Oh shit! I'm pulling my microphone out. I'm fidgeting all over the place.
That's all right. So yeah, thumbs up.
All right, final guys approved.
Favorite movie of the year.
So, Jack, can you tell me something else that I will think I heard on a podcast next week
That I said
that was on our show?
I'll let you know. I'll ring the bell.
Yeah, thank you.
You need a horn for that.
What did you watch? Give me some.
I watched something because of you, Jason Brant.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. I had never seen Sunshine from 2007 before.
And
I never heard much about it, and I never intended on watching it. It just looked like just another run-of-the-mill whatever sci-fi movie. And then you were raving about it. So I popped it on the other day, and goddamn, that's not a good movie. Man, I really enjoyed it. I was like, wow. And
it's great. No one's heard of it.
Your review of it was dead on. It's really great. Then it gets a little weird at the end. And the little weird at the end, I felt like wasn't consistent with the rest of the movie. It's not bad, but it just kind of goes so far off what it was doing that it's probably the weakest act of the whole thing, but it's still really cool what happens. But all the stuff, this spaceship is going to the sun to try and detonate a bomb to restart the sun because it's starting to go out. And another mission failed, and so they're Earth's last hope. And they've got this big shield in front of their ship to protect them from the sun. And anytime any piece of their equipment or anything goes out from behind the shield, it gets like burnt up. And if they change course, the shield has to change. And, they can only like look at the sun under like 2% of its actual thing through filters and everything. I love the science fiction part of it. It kind of gets into like what's it called? Event Horizon-y territory towards the end. Chris Evans is, you could see the roots of Captain America because he was great as the Torch, and I was like, when they said him for Captain America, it's like he's too much of a wise ass and like funny guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I watched this, I'm like, oh, he's like channeling Captain America in this. And Cillian Murphy wasn't like a psycho killer in this or weirdo. Rose Byrne's in it. A lot of other like familiar. The guy who plays Wong in Doctor Strange. So a great cast. So good call, man. I'm very happy I watched this one. I recommend people watch it.
Yeah, it's very much science fiction turning into horror, and then jumps into horror at the end.
Yeah,
but I agreed. The ending is very different, and I didn't like it as much the first time I saw it, but in subsequent viewings, I dig it more. Could just be because I'm a horror freak, but it's very different. No one has seen this freaking movie, and I love it.
It's Danny Boyle too. Like I said, this was not on my radar whatsoever. So I was very happy.
Awesome. I'm glad you got to see it.
I saw it and I can't remember the whole thing. I'll have to rewatch it.
Well, this is, I don't want to say it's as good as Sunshine, but it's close. So for the first time this week, I watched The Crow, Wicked Prayer.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
Starring Edward Furlong, Tara Reid, Tito Ortiz, David Boreanaz.
Tara Reid's in that?
Yep. She's one of the top 3 billed. Danny Trejo, Emmanuel Shrikiri. I never know how to say her name.
From Entourage?
Yeah. Yep. And freaking
Sloane?
Dennis Hopper is in this movie.
Mommy, don't you look at me.
Is it his last? Is that what he goes out on?
I'll tell you what, man, he goes for it in this movie. He's maybe in it for 5 or 10 minutes, but he goes for it. This movie.
Wait, when you said hopper, is that a drinking word?
Yep. Whoop, whoop.
Hey, that's funny. So I got to tell you, this might be the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not
saying a lot.
I watch bad movies for pleasure. That's why I watched this. It's not the worst made. It's not the worst acted, but cumulative, there is nothing redeemable about this. It's not bad funny. It's weird cringe. It's so mind-bogglingly bad. I don't understand how it could be made as The Crow. First of all, you get Edward Furlong, who's so deep into drugs at this point, he looks like shit. He's 27. He looks like he's 47.
Is he the Crow?
Man.
Yes, Edward Furlong is
Oh my
hunched
God.
over, hips locked from freaking drug abuse.
Is he
The
an
Crow.
actual crow?
Caw.
Heckle and Jekyll?
All his action scenes are insane. They're just that blurry zoom stuff they do to try to cover when guys can't do anything.
Oh, I gotta watch this.
I mean, Tito Ortiz's voice is dubbed for some reason. It is so bad. It changes styles 80 times. At the beginning, they'll show, okay, Tito Ortiz is one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, some stupid shit. And they pause it and give him his name, his title, his attributes, everything. And they do this for 4 different guys. That never comes up again. That style is completely ignored.
Most important question. Was this before or after Tara Reid got run over by a bus? Because like American Pie Tara Reid is like smoking little hottie. And then there's...
This is
like
2005.
She still looked pretty good here. She didn't have a lot of coke bloat or whatever was going on in the later 2000s. She looked pretty good here. But this movie's indescribably bad. It's only worth watching if you just have to see what this is like. But if you want to watch a bad movie to laugh, this is not a great one. It's pretty freaking boring. It's just, I don't understand how this got made. So
this makes me want to watch a new Terminator movie even more.
Look, if you want to read a good Crow book, I remember there's one by Chet Williamson, Crow. I think it's Clash by Night, with a female crow after the bombing of a daycare center.
Oh,
It's good. It gets you emotional. Like your hands are gripping that book. You get so angry in it.
what was the name of it again?
I think it's The Crow Clash by Night, if I'm right.
Well, it cannot be worse than this. So
I mean, that cast, that's just like throwing up the white flag. That's literally saying we don't give a shit.
If you want to feel bad for a human being, that Emmanuel, however how you say her last name, she is a stunning woman. And at the beginning, she has to make out with Edward Furlong. And I mean, his teeth look bad. Oh God.
How do you go from Brandon Lee to Edward Furlong?
Yeah.
It's so weird, man. He's living in a trailer. He's this homeless ex-con who killed someone, and his clothes are dirty, and she's like in love with him. And it's so bad. It's
Believable.
It's so bad. Hunter, please tell me about something better.
Okay. Look, well, mine begins with a C. It's Crawl, which Steve Barnard said is a load of shit. Seemed very angry.
He didn't seem happy with it on.
No, he didn't.
Let me tell you something. I love all of our friends on Twitter and stuff, but this whole gang, if they don't like something, they really don't like it.
Oh, that's true. Look, to me, I'm always happy when I get to see like a B movie, monster movie in a theater. So the fact that it got greenlit and put in a theater, I thought was awesome. I was there as soon as I could get there. It looks really nice. I don't know. There's something they did. It's the color palette, and maybe they were doing some CG work just on the backgrounds and everything. I don't know.
Well, that's that. Is it Alexander Aja or Aja?
Yeah, yeah, and he's the balls.
He has a great style.
Yeah, it's a small movie, believe it or not. So there's a hurricane. It's going to hit Florida, and it's basically a girl, an adult girl. She's in college on the swim team, rushing back to get her dad from the house that they used to live in, but he's getting divorced and he's selling the house, and he's down in the basement with a busted up leg, and she's down there with him. The water's rising, and there's alligators everywhere, including in the basement. So it's a small movie. It's the two of them. It's a dog. So there's a dog every now and then yips around. So, and they're in the crawl space. So it's not about the alligators crawling. It's about the crawl space.
I wondered why it was called Crawl with alligators.
It's weird, right? I was thinking that too. And I'm like, and then a couple of times I go, just get back into crawl space. I'm like, oh, crawl. I thought it was cool. Look, it's utterly brainless, well executed. I think I said this 4 times tonight. It's not creating something new. It's not adding something brand new to the genre. When it needs to be violent, it's pretty violent. What this poor girl goes through is just ridiculous. You get a couple of ancillary good murders, get death roll, alligator death rolls. I mean, how much more do you want? Really?
I want them to not ruin it in the trailer.
I didn't care.
That's why I didn't go. That's why I refused to go.
Look at where our minds are, right? Now, you and I could write this probably in a few days. So we already know what's going to happen. So just go for the visual.
I know, but they showed me so many of the cool visuals anyway. I don't know how many there were, but
there were quite a few that they didn't show in the coming attraction. Because, I mean, seriously, it's an hour and a half of 2 people trying to get out of a goddamn crawl space.
Hey, Hunter, quick aside. Would you mind saying for me, America actu?
America actu.
But say it like you're spitting. Because you look
inconceivable.
You look like the Iron Sheik.
Tehran, Iran. Actually, I look like a rabbi right now.
America actu.
This is coming off.
If you've ever wondered why Final Guys works or doesn't work, this is such a great example. One of us is recording with the dish towel on his head.
Another thing I noticed about Kroll when they did the credits, I guess this movie was made in Slovakia or someplace.
Really?
Oh, there were no American names on there other than the actors, and it's the only time I've ever seen a movie where they do the actors in the beginning. Their names just 2 people.
Wow.
Nobody else even earned a mention in the beginning.
Did they say no actual alligators were harmed in the filming of this movie?
No, because there were no actual alligators in the movie.
Wally Gator, don't you know?
So worth a watch, huh?
Surf for some popcorn fun in the summer, but I think it's gone already.
Yeah, I don't think it did much box office.
No. If they made it in Bulgaria, I'm sure it cost them 4 rubles and 7 kopecks, so they made their money back.
I saw a lot of good reviews for this. People were saying what you're saying. It's just a good old, good mindless fun.
Yeah. They could have gone the other direction where you take it just nothing serious, where it's like a Piranha remake. But I think that's easier to do than trying to make an earnest, kind of have some scares movie.
How about Ernest saves the hurricane?
Ernest scared of alligators. Hey, Vern, don't you know?
Jack, what do you got?
I watched Paranormal Activity.
The first
one, which is the second time I've seen this movie. The first time I saw it was in a theater that wasn't very crowded when it first came out. And as I've talked about with Hunter, I feel like that may have hurt my experience because I was not over impressed with this movie like a lot of people were when I saw it. And it was interesting to go back and see what I thought they did well and what I thought was a weakness of the movie. And my God, the thing that I kind of forgot, Mika is the most annoying character in movies ever. And the fact that they don't get called Mika instead of Micah makes me want to kill him and make him a ghost.
He's a dick. And by the way, my daughter is watching part 2 in the room right above me right now.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So after I watched this movie, I watched a YouTube video that explained the mythology of all the movies. Because I haven't seen them all, So I'm like, I just want to get a sense of like, I saw some of them. Where does this go? I watched like half the video and I turned it off and said, I will never be watching like the later ones of these because the mythology gets so convoluted.
Yeah, it's nuts. It makes no sense.
1 is good. 3 is good. We saw 3 together. 5 is good because 5 is the marked ones.
Yep, marked ones is decent.
2 is bad. 4 is dreadful. And 6, the ghost dimension, has a good looking girl in it.
Yes.
Maybe I'll give 6 a try.
Yeah.
It was fun to go back and watch this again. I will say the Blair Witch Project is Citizen Kane compared to this movie. But this is a good, like when we talk about starter horror, this is a good one for newbies, young people. You got friends over who want to watch something scary. This is a good one to pop in. It's a little uneven, but it was fun. I'm happy I went back to watch it. I don't need to watch it again for a really long time. But I just remember like some of the heavy-handed stuff they did with the mythology, like this picture. Look at this picture.
What happened was, if I forget the director's name, but he's done some interviews where he explains making that movie, where he didn't go to film school. He wasn't even a film buff. It's just something he said, "Let me try." So, and then it got taken out of his hands.
I did like the lead girl. I thought she did a really good job. I thought,
yeah, we know why.
Oh yeah. So I was happy to go back and watch it again, but it didn't make me want to dive into and watch the rest of the series. It's like, okay, I've seen it a couple times now.
That's a good movie to put on if you have friends over who've never seen it, if you have a real loud sound system and a big screen, because it just scares the shit out of some people.
Yes.
Which is why it was so great in my theater. People were just losing their minds. All right.
That movie is made for people that want to be scared.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and there's plenty of them out there.
All right, I caught a movie on Shudder called Dead Detectives. Just popped up as one of their new ones.
What the hell?
It's a thing. It exists. It is. Shoot! Now I just lost the name of it. I had it in my head.
Dead Detectives?
No. The movie from a couple. Grave Encounters. The first half hour of this is just Grave Encounters. Fake ghost hunters. They're trying to get ratings, trying to keep their show from getting canceled, and it shows them going to one haunt and faking everything and trying to up the stakes, and then they go to the real haunted house and things get crazy. So the first half hour I'm like, this is just kind of like a lower budget TV show version of Grave Encounters. It's fine.
Lower budget, holy crap.
Significantly lower budget by the looks of it, but it's some pretty funny stuff at the beginning. Really, once it kind of, there's a change that happens maybe a half hour, 45 minutes in, where it gets different from Grave Encounter, significantly different. Whereas Grave Encounter starts funny and then gets scarier as it goes and becomes just basically a horror movie at the end. This is pretty much a comedy throughout. There's not a whole lot of horror. It's ghosts and death and things like that, but just kind of horror adjacent, I guess you would call it. But this movie worked for me. I ended up being fairly happy with it. It's not something amazing. It's not, something it's going to make my top 10 list, but most of the jokes worked, which for a movie like this is everything. So if you want some laughs, if this kind of humor works for you anyway, I dug it. These bumbling idiots trying to deal with ghosts, it works. And it ended up being a pretty dang funny movie. The characters are what did it. You've got the lead guy who's a schmuck, his fiance who's way too attractive for him. Then have a Mexican guy who pretends he's English or something. So just quirky stuff. But this, again, I must have said this 50 times on this show. This is why I like Shudder, because I would have never in a million years watched this movie. Probably never would have heard of this movie, but because it popped up and they got the rights to it, I thought, what the hell? And it's pretty fun.
I like the name. That stuck with me.
Dead Detectives. So, what do you got, Hunter?
I read a book. It's this little book. Tiny. It's called Duma Key. Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
I could literally use that book to start the foundation of a house.
It is huge. Yeah.
Especially the library version where you're getting thicker stock with everything. Tim Meyer was the one who told me that, because I said, I think we were talking once about what books of his I haven't read. I said, Duma King. He's like, you got to read that book. So 3 weeks ago, I got it out of the library. It took me 3 weeks to finish the Stephen King book, which is
wow.
never
you.
happened. But that's strictly because of interruptions. Really, it has nothing to do with King, whose style is amazing. It's about this guy Edgar Freemantle, who's like a big time developer in Minnesota. He gets in a crane accident. Crane falls on his car, lops off his arm. As he's recovering, he's got a lot of anger issues. His wife divorces him, and poor little rich guy goes down to Duma Key in Florida, rents this place on the water, and discovers he rediscovers his love of drawing and painting. And then as he's there, there's whole history in the house where these other, like Salvador Dali, these painters would stay there and try to create, but none of them ever created like he has. He's become this incredible art star down in Florida, but there's a mystery in Duma Key. Look, I thought at 600 pages, I think if you cut 100 pages out, this is a really tight novel that would have taken it to another level. But as a Hemingway fan, I did notice that King must love the novel Islands in the Stream by Hemingway, because just reading this book, all I thought about was Islands in the Stream, and he would throw in either whole sentences or kind of his twist on certain Hemingway phrases that he would use in several of his books. So this is definitely like a Hemingway love letter, especially it's down in the Keys. I thought it was cool. Didn't so much buy the evil presence that was surrounding the Key and what was going on, but there were some gut punch moments in this book.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he went to some places where a lot of authors won't go to, and I thought it was great. It's typical King, man. I just loved every character in that book. They became my friends for 3 weeks.
I put Duma Key in his bottom third of novels of his, but that still puts it heads and shoulders above almost everybody else.
Yeah.
It's like you mentioned him becoming an artist. I had completely forgotten about that. There's so much.
That's like the whole book too.
Dude, I remembered him being crippled and all the stuff on the beach and all that. But yeah, it's one that I doubt I'll ever revisit, but it's still
no. But it did make me start rereading Islands in the Stream by Hemingway. So that was good.
I've never read it.
What's Islands in the Stream? Isn't that the Kenny Rogers song with
Islands in the Stream? That is what we are. It's a really cool book. Yeah. Which, seriously, Jason, if just read like a quick, find like a Cliff's Notes version of Duma Key, then read Islands in the Stream, and you tell me if he didn't make a horror version of that book.
Okay. All right. I need to read Hemingway, so maybe I'll start with that.
You would love Hemingway because he strips that bullshit down, man.
I like it.
No fat on those books.
Jack, give me something.
I got nothing else.
Okay. I'll blast through do you have something else?
No.
All right.
Blast away.
2 quick things. Also on Shudder, I finally got to finish watching Eli Roth's History of Horror.
You're just watching that now?
I've been watching it for probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Just bits and pieces, an episode here, episode there. Have both of you seen it?
No.
I watched it when it first aired on AMC like a year ago.
Yeah, I remember you talking about it, but...
And now I'm listening to the podcast, which you should check out the podcast because it's extended stuff from the shows that you watched, so it's really good.
How about you want the History of Horror, you watch Final Guys and visit our website.
Yeah, that's right.
And leave a review and subscribe.
Also, my PayPal address is probably on my website. If you just want to send me money, that'd be fine too.
Mm-hmm.
They do have the extended interviews on Shudder too. I saw that. I haven't watched them, but they're in their own kind of show folder or whatever you want to call it. This was great. The guests he had are amazing. To be honest, my only complaint is that it strays towards the last half into, kind of woke bullshit where every horror movie has to have something to do with racism or sexism. It's like, would you shut up? Like, no, it doesn't. But other than that, just the interviews with some of these people are phenomenal. 100% worth a watch for that alone. If you want to hear what Rob Zombie thought about The Thing or what Stephen King thinks about vampires, this is your freaking show. Just the fact they got Stephen King is amazing. Nobody gets Stephen King for anything. So it was awesome.
You kind of learned just how much Greg Nicotero has been around in his career.
Yeah.
That's on Shudder?
Yep. Oh. Along with I'm going to go back and watch the King interview, maybe one or two others. They have Joe Hill on there. So
cool.
If you listen to the podcast, the one with Quentin Tarantino is spectacular.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Tarantino's on there, for God's sakes. I mean, come on. All right, and finally, I read a book, Recursion by Blake Crouch. Blake is...
He did Dark Matter.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite authors. I wouldn't argue if somebody said, hey, it's probably your second favorite. I don't know why anybody would say that to me, but if they did, I'd probably agree with them. He's the guy who did Wayward Pines. He did some really screwed up horror about 10 years ago. He's just... The guy's style is perfect for the way I read. Exactly what I like. Action, dialogue, just crushes it. The guy's getting... I don't even know what he got for Recursion. $3 or $4 million up front before he even freaking wrote the book or something.
Suki's.
The guy is smashing. They're already working on it for Netflix. This book is awesome. It's not horror. He's definitely going more towards science fiction thriller fare with his last two novels. But
yeah, well, when Dark Matter hits that big, you go where it tells you to go.
You start writing science fiction. Yeah.
Yep.
So Recursion, Blake Crouch, freaking worth it. Grab it and read it. It is amazing.
I'm checking that out.
All right. You guys ready to talk about some Stranger Things?
Well, because I only watched half, I'm going to bail because you guys might spoil it. So I'm up to episode 4.
Good call.
I will say 2 things. A, welcome back, Pam Morris. I'm glad you're feeling better. You're in the chat. Don't forget to get right back on that hog. You do the day. Don't let the day do you. And second, I am on the Ink Heist podcast. We did an interview. It was about an hour and a half during a sweltering night. And I think we were all delirious, and it's quite filthy and irreverent. So,
is that posted already?
It is. Shane Keane and Rich Duncan, who are horror reviewers. I was on episode 2, so I don't know where you find it. It's like wherever you find podcasts. So Ink Heist, check it out.
I see both of them in the live chat right now.
I found it. I just type in Ink Heist, and you'll find it on your podcast catcher or whatever you use.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, I don't listen to you say dumb shit enough. I'll check that out too.
We actually brought that up a lot on the show, how the shit that I say and the faces you make.
It would be interesting to hear someone else's perspective of what they think is going through my mind as I listen to you.
You will enjoy this thing.
You'll learn just not to listen to them.
All right. I'm going to go upstairs and watch episode 5.
See you next week.
Later.
See you later, Sheik.
And we'll be right back.
Hey, Ronnie, run!
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
All right, now that he's gone, we can talk about him.
Oh, thank God he's gone.
It's the worst. Do you want to try to synopsize this since it's a show, I mean, that everybody has probably seen? I don't know if we even have to.
So you've seen it more recently than I have, so I'm already choppy on what. So it's 1985. There's a new mall in whatever town, Hawkins, Indiana. Is that it? Indiana?
Yep.
The kids are a little bit older. Steve has not gone to college, but has gotten a job at Scoops Ahoy,
as you do.
Shop.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin is just getting back from summer camp, like summer nerd camp. Mike and 11 are having a torrid love affair where they make out all the time.
That first episode's rough.
And what's his name? I actually printed out everybody's name for this one. Will. Will is feeling a little bit left out because his buddies are getting girlfriends and he just wants to go back to the good old days of playing D&D. Meanwhile, Hopper is back. The sister and what's the other guy's name? So it's Nancy and John, is it?
Sure.
It was Jonathan and Nancy. They're both working at a local paper.
Yep. Damn, that's pretty good.
Suddenly, the Upside Down comes back into play. I guess that's your synopsis.
Yeah, there you go. The Upside Down is back in Hawkins. Well, let's just... I'll give you my quick overview of it. I thought this was a massive step forward from season 2. Not that a lot of people really didn't like season 2. I was just more disappointed. The first one, the bar set by the first season was so high. I don't know that they could have reached it again, or it would have been extremely difficult anyway. But the things they did with the main monster being a smoke monster, and I didn't care for any of that. like I said, it wasn't crap, but it was fine. This, to me, was light years. It's not the first season, but it is way, way better than the second season. The last episode, like I said, I just watched it today. I want to know how much that freaking cost, man. They spent some money on that. The CG in this, the effects, top of the line.
That's part of what elevated this season was the special effects are the best they've ever been.
Oh, man. They've really upped the freaking gore quotient for this. I was kind of shocked at some of the things they did. I was really happy. The nostalgia, man, they turned that dial to 11, and I dug it.
So I agree with you. I love season 1. You're like, what is this show? The nostalgia, the awesome moments, the Stand By Me kind of feel to it, Goonies, all that. Season 1 is a magical thing. If they never did another season, you'd be like, that was one of the best shows ever.
Completely agree.
And season 2 was good, but it had some rough patches. The 11 off with her other mutants, some of the other stuff. There's some great moments in that, and it ended pretty well. Yeah, the smoke monster wasn't as strong, so you're like, it was good, but not as good as the first season. This one, I'm enjoying the first couple episodes. Like, all right, they're setting up the board, they're getting everybody where they need to be, so I'm enjoying it, but I'm not like blown away by anything. And then episode 4 happens, and suddenly this thing kicks into gear, and I enjoyed the whole season, but I feel like people have such a short attention span or such a short tolerance for anything like Marvel movies or series. They love season 1. It's the greatest thing ever. And by the time you get to a season 3 or the third movie and something, people have like put it up on a pedestal, and now they're like, this is crap. I hate this. I can't keep up with it. And I'm like, whatever. If that's how you feel, whatever. For me, I felt like this was the perfect mix. I don't know about perfect, but a good mix of horror, action, sci-fi, and comedy and nostalgia. Because if they did just too much action and horror stuff, nobody really cares about the upside down monster and stuff like that. Just a little bit here and there is fine. What I really care about is the funny stuff going on between the two characters. When Steve and Dustin are talking to each other and that girl Robin jumps in, I could watch that for hours. They're hilarious. So I thought once episode 4 kicked in, and the villain in this is the Billy, the villain. He's top notch. So overall, I think season 1 masterpiece, season 2 meh, season 3 I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm with you. What they did, it's still the same villain. That said really early on. It's still the same villain, the smoke monster, but they've given it a physical form in this, which to me completely changes the feel of the show. Whereas, when something's just flying into someone and that's it, it's like, oh, wow, okay. But when there's this freaking monster that absorbs people and is smashing through forests and stuff, it really changes the tone and the feel of the show. And it really made a big difference for me. It did. And they also did such a great job having some of these characters fighting in a funny way in this season. Like you were saying, the interactions between some of them, just top-notch dialogue. To pull it off for so long is incredible.
One thing they did is they paired people off, and then everybody goes and does things, and you know everything that's going on, but they don't. Then they all get back together and trade information. So there's a few episodes where they're all not together, and then they all get together, and that also helps because it's really fun to get everybody back. And somebody's looking at the other like, "What the hell happened to you?" Or "Where have you been?" Or they've been talking to each other on walkie-talkies. Like, what were you saying? I couldn't understand you. It's a lot of great stuff like that went on with it. And the pairings, like putting 11 and what's the other girl's name? Max. Putting those two together was great. They worked.
I'm glad really they did that early, because if I had to watch two 15-year-olds make out more than what was happening in that first episode, I was like, I don't know if I could freaking watch this.
And actually, the main 3 boys from the original gang almost had more diminished roles this year.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, I thought Winona Ryder was in this a lot. A lot of the secondary characters seem to get much bigger boosts. And I should also mention, I can't think of her freaking name now. Ethan Hawke's daughter. Oh God, what's her name?
Oh, the girl who played Robin.
Yeah, Robin. Thank you. What a breakout performance from her. That girl nails sarcasm. I mean, freaking nails it. She was funny as hell in this.
Yeah. Listen, a lot of shows, when you get later in, they Cousin Oliver, where they bring in new characters and they kill the show. Ted McGinley hopefully never shows up in this show. This show, between her and I think it's Erica, the little sister of Lucas, the new characters that they brought in were so great that I couldn't believe that they nailed both of them. That you're like, oh my God, I love every second that they're on the screen.
Yeah, they may have become my favorite characters in the whole show, just coming out of nowhere.
And what a character arc, Steve, from such a jerk, you hate him in the first season, and where he's gone to now, where you're like, he's like my favorite guy on the show now.
You think he has the best arc of all the characters?
He's got a tremendous arc. I don't know who has the best arc. Maybe probably, I would probably say he does.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I was thinking that about halfway through this season. I'm like, man, this guy's so likable now, and you couldn't freaking stand him in the first season. They just did a tremendous job with him. And having him slinging ice cream is just hilarious.
Because he's like, you like him more now, but he's still cocky.
Yeah. Yeah, he's still an idiot, but he's a likable idiot. And just to see him go from being kind of the king of high school to hating his life as he's dealing with little kids and ice cream flavors and stuff is just, it's really well done.
And some of the secondary characters, what is the guy's name? The Murray. He was in the TV show Love and some other stuff. The bald eagle.
Yeah, that guy.
He was tremendous. The Russian, I can't remember what his name was. That they're
calling him Smirnoff or something like that.
Yeah, let me see if I could find his name. The one that he was like their prisoner, but then he kind of joined.
Yeah, I can't remember what his name ended up being. But he was great. But to me, that's a difference between this season and last season. So we had Sean Astin, great actor last season. Character that's just, he was fine. You know, you didn't really care all that much one way or the other about him.
Sean Astin, like when you first, I kind of liked his arc because when you first met him, you didn't like him. And then by the time that he goes at the end of, you're like, oh, he grew on me.
See, to me, it was more, I felt bad for Winona Ryder's character because he died, not necessarily that he's not going to be in the show anymore. I was just like, he wasn't that funny. He wasn't terrible, like I said. Just, you get this Russian guy who doesn't even speak English, and he has some funny moments. It just, I don't know if they looked back at what didn't work, and I'm sure they did, but they did a good job paring a lot of the crap down and amping up the laughs.
And then David Harbour as Hop, just going for it. Like, he was hilarious.
Full Magnum PI.
Yeah. So Magnum PI meets Homer Simpson.
Yeah. Magnum PI now after 30 years of donuts and beer.
He doesn't have the Hellboy body anymore.
So when we're watching this, my boy, he is a husky dude in this show, and it makes me wonder how much weight he actually lost for Hellboy. I saw all the videos of him working out and stuff, but I don't know how much he lost, because in Hellboy, man, there were some shots where I was like, boy, Hellboy's got abs, but he's pretty thick. He's got a big waist on him. But he was great. He really was.
I think we should get to spoilers, because if we say much more, we're going to ruin something for somebody. So I think we both are suggesting go watch this. It's better than season 2.
Yeah, if you're on the fence, which I've talked to a couple people who haven't watched this yet, if you're on the fence because you thought season 2 was meh, dive in. Watch 2, 3, 4 episodes, whatever you said it was, and then it just becomes
season
a great
4.
ride.
You'll know it because it's the sauna episode. That's all you have to say. From there on, puts the pedal down, and it goes from good to great.
Yep, absolutely. And for anybody tuning out, we are doing, what's it called again? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino movie next week.
So we'll see you then. Ring that bell, baby.
The spoiler bell is being rung. If you don't want to hear spoilers, then get to the upside down, because we're going to close the gate.
So I mentioned the gore being upped in this. when the bodies start exploding and melting and absorbing into the big monster, I was like, this is so genius. And I'm not going to lie, I was pissed off I had not thought about that for a book. It's so great.
This had a little bit of the Blob, a little bit of Slither, a little bit of the Thing going on.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. People eating fertilizer. I really saw a lot of Slither going on in this.
Yeah, for sure.
But I honestly, the best villain of this was Billy. What a great bully. He was channeling like Kiefer Sutherland from Stand By Me. Like genuinely scary bully that brought real menace, because you just thought he was gonna the monster is a monster, but this guy just felt like he was gonna physically hurt you if you got in his way.
Yeah, he was like, oh god, what's the kid's name from It? I kept thinking of that while watching it. Yeah, same kind of thing. Actually, very much like It now that I think about it, with the monster using the local bully to do his bidding. Yeah, weird.
Well, there was a lot. Listen, there was Invasion of the Body Snatchers in this. They go see Day of the Dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they show a ton of Back to the Future. There's a lot of ghost spot. It's just everything from the 80s is in this. The story, everything.
I told people, like at work after I watched it, I said, what I appreciated, but I think there's going to be some people that are going to start saying they're leaning too much into nostalgia and humor. And for me, I think they're using nostalgia perfectly. And that's part of the charm of this. And there's a scene in the last episode where you're in the climax of everything. The clock is ticking. Everybody's in danger. And then they stop and do the freaking song from Neverending Story. And it is the best moment of the whole series. And I'm going, my God, the balls it took to do this. And they're pulling up. And I'm like, I can care less about the mind flayer. I want this. Like, this is entertaining me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a 3-story monster chasing them, and everyone is listening to these kids sing this song. It's beautiful.
Oh, so, and they really built up. What was his girlfriend's name? Susie. Susie. She's like Phoebe Cates but hotter.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole series of she doesn't exist or this or that. I mean, have you ever looked forward to seeing when somebody looked like more like since Charlie's Angels? I haven't been like, what's Charlie look like? No, I'm like, what is this girl gonna look like? That was so funny.
Yeah, they really nailed all that. And I kind of want to talk about the monster design again, just not to belabor the point, but that's when I was talking about the effects. When that thing is rampaging through the forest and down the road and through the mall, it looks incredible. I mean, like a blockbuster movie, incredible. They just crushed it with that. And they were not afraid to show it killing people at all. And I appreciated the hell of it. There's so much humor in this, but they also ramped up the horror, I thought, way more from last season.
Yeah. And listen, I thought also every time 11 gets in a fight with the monster, it's awesome. It's like, what you wish X-Men movies were like. And they don't go to the well too much. They go just enough. Like they have those fights, it knocks her out, and then at some point they'll cripple her in some way so that she can't always rely on her powers, or the powers take a toll on her, or the monster gets a leg up on her or something like that. But there's like when there's a showdown in the sauna with her and Billy, that freaking scene was awesome.
Yep. Yeah, I got to tell you, by the end, I was thinking, I'm getting real tired of seeing her do the X-Men thing. Every time the monster shows up, well, how are we going to get out of it? And then she does it. But when they got rid of her powers, I was like, yes, this is going to make the next season much more interesting because they can't just keep relying on her to fix everything. But I thought most of it was fine. It was just by the end, I was getting a little tired of it. And then I think they knew that people were going to get sick of it because they cut that cord pretty early. I've been going off about how much I like it. I have a couple little complaints that aren't anything major, but there was some stuff going on occasionally where, so the monster's huge. They show it running towards the house, literally knocking trees out of the ground, roots and all. And then it gets to the house and it just tears like a little hole in the ceiling. and that's it. I mean, so there was some little things like that aren't major concerns, but I'm watching it thinking, why are you showing it rampaging through the forest if it can't get inside a house? Little nitpicky shit that is my stupid, annoying writer in me coming out. But otherwise, the monster, I
did like the way
great.
Nancy handled the shotgun, though.
Yes. For a girl that looks like she weighs about 90 pounds, she did really well with the firearms in this movie.
Yeah.
Did you like Hopper and Joyce's relationship? I did. And just when they were getting to the point where their arguing was starting to not be as funny, they stopped it. So they really rode that line well.
Well, the great thing is that they had to like work. Like Hopper is like interested in her, and she is not even reading.
Mm-hmm.
She's not even thinking about it. And he's like putting himself out there. Then he's getting all mad. And like I think what they did well here was just when you're kind of getting a little bit sick of it, they insert Murray into it, and that just makes it tremendous.
He says exactly what everyone's thinking.
Yeah. So I thought they handled that. And then Alexei is the name of the Russian guy. Then you add him in with a heartbreaking death because you totally thought this was going to be another recurring character.
Yep.
And so there was some stakes because there was characters dying, but mainly expendable people.
Sure.
Not main characters. So his death was, and that, there was the other nod was to the Terminator with that Russian villain.
Oh, nod. Holy crap. I'm surprised they didn't try to CG Arnold's face onto that guy. I mean, that was straight up the Terminator. It had a freaking crew cut, for crying out loud. Yeah, the Terminator stuff was great. How about Cary Elwes showing up as the mayor? Awesome.
Yeah, he was totally in his element.
He was. All those little appearances by people were just, I'm telling you, man, I was so happy with this season.
Look, as a kid who grew up at the mall in the 80s too, I thought that they did a great job recreating an 80s mall. They crush it with just the stuff that was on the shelves was accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked, all the neon and all that stuff looked great. And I liked that they used the mall. So the mall was destroying the town because all the mom and pop shops are closing, the department stores, all that, and the mall's crushing them. And they used it as this front for a Russian spy organization. I just thought that was a nice little tip of the cap to when people were freaking out about malls. It was well done.
I also, a little point, there's a point where the kids are trapped in the elevator and Steve takes a leak in the elevator shaft. And I was like, I love that because that would happen.
Yep.
A guy is like trapped for several hours and he's like, guys, I can't hold it anymore. You could be like, oh, that's so gross. And that once they have to explore the mall, and that's where the little sister gets Erica, was that her name? Erica. My God.
She's so funny.
What a tremendous, because when you first see her at the beginning, you're just like, oh, it's her, whatever. You're like brushing her off and everything. And then like as soon as they like start interviewing her in the ice cream shop, you're like, wait a minute, this girl's hilarious. This is awesome. Oh, I
think that actress is only 13 maybe, so she might have been 12 when they shot this. Man, she gets humor. She just crushes.
She does. When they're calling him Bald Eagle. The Murray and them. That's what I just, from an entertainment standpoint, yeah, you could nitpick this a lot, but for me, yeah, it's not perfect. But I just walked away with like, I think having it be 8 episodes was key too. I think if this didn't get the Marvel Daredevil series fatigue, it was lean and mean, and it didn't need to be any more than 8 episodes. I'm very glad they made that decision.
Completely agree. The one other thing I guess we should talk about, do you think Hopper is actually dead? Or do you think that was him in the Russian cell?
I think it's him in the Russian cell because they show the machine blow up. They show other people get disintegrated, and they don't show him.
Yep.
So I think he got either pulled out of the room at the last second or he got teleported.
That's what I was wondering. Did whatever happened send him to their similar test facility in Russia or something? I don't know. But they even said not the American when they were dragging the one guy out. So, yeah, the fact that they didn't show it, and the other people melted, and there were puddles of nasty shit where they were, and there was nothing where he was. So I'm assuming he's fine.
I was psyched when Paul Reiser showed up right at the end.
Yeah. They really have a hell of a cast going on in this.
Some people have speculated that it might be Matthew Modine in Russia as the American prisoner.
Oh, that's kind of interesting. Good.
Well, the other thing is Hopper could also be in the Upside Down.
True too.
And he could be in the Upside Down with Billy because Billy had a doppelganger in the Upside Down.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
So who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I think that's about all I got. I was super happy with it, man.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I think there's going to be some people out there that just they don't have a appetite for anything that goes on more than 1 or 2 seasons. For me, I thought this was the course correction. Like I said, I didn't dislike season 2, but I like this so much better. I thought they crushed it.
Way better. So now I'm ready to go from this, a fun, mostly light horror show, to watching the true story about a pregnant woman being brutally murdered in the 60s. What fun. Once upon a time in Hollywood.
I can't wait to see how this movie unfolds because you never know what a Tarantino movie is going to be until you see it. Hateful Eight was... You couldn't have predicted what was going to happen in that movie or any of his movies. And the trailer just makes you think this is going to be a fun, wacky, quirky thing. I've heard some reviews where this is a hangout movie where there's a lot of conversation.
Tarantino.
The fact that it's got Sharon Tate and the Manson murders, I wonder how much of that is even shown. I wonder how much of that is like. I can't wait. I can't wait to see this thing. I'm dying to see it.
I'm excited because it's Tarantino. I'm not excited because I don't really want to see a whole bunch about the Tate murder. It's just, I'm not excited for that, but the cast is great. It's Tarantino, so I'll be there Saturday.
I just hope he doesn't do something like, in Inglourious Bastards, they kill Hitler.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I hope there's nothing like that in this. Like for that movie, that was something different. I don't want the Manson murder is enough of a heavy topic that I hope they don't do something super fictional to it.
Exactly. I don't want that, and I also don't want to see a whole bunch of this freaking murder scene,
Yeah.
at the house. So anyway, that's next week. Anything else you want to
add? No, that's about it.
Alrighty. We will catch you people here next Tuesday at 8. See ya.
See ya.
Game over,